Hi everyone, welcome back. The next mind lie we're dissolving is a big one. So you'll really need to do your best to stick with me. So I might even recommend watching this one several times until you feel the shift within you. Now remember, with all mind lies you watch or you read, hold the intention to have the truth integrate at all levels of your being. That dissolving the non-truth. It really helps to have that as that foundational intention. So, the mind lie we are addressing today is people are unreliable and can't be trusted. Now, how many of us can say this is truth? In fact, many would argue this is an undeniable fact. And there'd be plenty of evidence to support this. But how is this impacting you? Is believing this mind lie helping or hindering you getting what you want? Well, you guessed it. Like all mind lies, this one is a menace. But this belief stands out above many others. It's different to the mind lies we've discussed so far, in that it's not actually talking about you. It's talking about others, which gives it a very unique quality. It inherently has an addictive nature to it, meaning we want to hold on to this belief. We're getting something out of it that's rather addictive. And when you think about it, when I mentioned what it was, how ready were you to stop believing it? Or were you quick to agree with it rather than going, yes, I want to let this go? And that's the clue. So what makes this addictive? Could it be that holding on to this particular non-truth is actually a way to have you feel much greater than you truly believe you are? Well, that's right. This mind actually has us feeling that we're getting things right, whereas many of the other mind lies actually have us feel like failures. This one works on the comparison to others. But why prioritize the feeling of getting it right, like that addictive need? Why prioritize that over seeing what the actual truth is? Now that's the question. Because when where mind lies are concerned, being right never wins over knowing the truth. You know, we live in a society where the pressure to get it right is extreme. And why is this so? Well, to get it right means you have a place in society, a chance for success. And let's not forget the added bonus of feeling, well, we are better than the vast majority of people. If we're getting it right, then we're better. You know, it's a quick and easy source of this addictive self-esteem. Yet, in the world of truth, there is no wrong or right, just truth or non-truth. So how did needing to get it right become so important in our society? Well, in the early days when truth was starting to show itself as the way forward, centuries ago, those in power, not real power, but those who wanted and craved power, who were opposed to this new way of life, figured if you can't beat the truth camp, then maybe we can join them, but with a twist, with something we can control, something we can use to our advantage. And this was really the dawning of many Western-based religions, which were an attempt to own and control truth. And they were able to do this by making truth right and non-truth wrong. But this was taken to such an extreme that soon truth was actually forgotten about, and only right and wrong remained. Truth never really saw the light of day. And so now there are established belief systems based on going to hell, being ostracized or stoned to death or burnt at the stake for getting it wrong. So the pressure to stay in favor through getting it right has gotten so intense that it's actually now hard to discern whether getting it right is based in truth or mind lies. And this was the plan of those who were behind this plan. But when we peel back the layers of historic mind lies, the genesis of it all, we get to see one absolute truth. And that is, truth cannot be owned nor controlled. This is the problem with most religions, is that they are attempting to own truth. And some even, doing worse, will punish people for living non-truth. I believe they call this being a sinner. Now, this has created the muddle we have in society. We have ceased believing we are the truth, or at least have it available within us, and have come to believe others outside of us know our truth even better than we do. This and many other mind lies keeps us in the dark as we have surrendered and handed over our true power to those without true power. So coming back now, what is this fear inside this mind lie? Because it's not what it appears on the surface. The fear is less about whether or not other people are reliable or trustworthy, but really about, am I reliable and can I be trusted? The interesting thing is, when you do believe you are reliable and trustworthy, you stop seeing other people as the problem and you as the victim. Instead, you realize that you are at the center of the experiences you attract and have, and therefore, if I am reliable and trustworthy, I will bring the same kind of people into my life. The challenge is that the reason this is such a prevalent belief system is because of its addictive qualities I mentioned earlier. When we believe that it's all about other people being unreliable and untrustworthy, we are inadvertently saying we are reliable and trustworthy, even though secretly we believe the opposite. So when we make this judgment against others, we feel an immediate sense of satisfaction. It's like a hit, because we are elevating ourselves above the masses, above those people. And that used to be a very important thing to do, especially as far as religions were concerned. So there are those beliefs that have us feel down on ourselves, like the ones we've covered today, and inferior to others, and therefore have no real addictive qualities. There is some reasons to hang on to them, but not as addictive as this. Then there are those beliefs, the mind lies, that intrinsically have us feel superior, which compared to the former beliefs are actually a refreshing change for us. And this is what has us want to hold on to them as long as possible. So on some level, they make us feel good. They offer a substantial upside, or at least we believe they do. It's a bit of an illusion. So this addiction ensures this longevity in this belief, and is why it's so prevalent. So now, because we like this belief, we keep it in place. And to keep us looking away from what we really think about ourselves, we actually engineer circumstances for others to fail. Remember, we're not wanting it to be about us, it's about everyone else. So we create experiences for others to fail where we get to stay right. So here we get to prove our worthiness and get to shine. We set these booby traps that keep us believing this belief and has us never move away from it, which actually explains where you likely got this belief from yourself, from falling into the trap set by another believer of I'm not reliable and can't be trusted. We want to project it out there, so we create these booby traps for people to walk in, and they get to see they're the ones who failed, not us. But no matter how many times we succeed at this, at having others fail, so we get to look good, we will still be left with the feelings of dissatisfaction. And more so, the continual experience of having others letting us down. We cannot cure a mind lie by attempting to bash it on its head over and over to prove it wrong. No, because this bashing and this proving is yet another mind lie. And it goes by the name of convincing. Convincing actually covers up or sweeps mind lies under the rug, but doesn't actually remove them. It has us think they are gone, but they still remain fully functional and intact. Convincing is the shadow of transformation. People use convincing when they are without truth, when they are without the know-how to transform. Transformation is the realization of deeper truths beyond one's identity-based perspective. Convincing, on the other hand, attempts to shift one's perspective through the grace of the intellect, not truth. And you can't come from one mind lie to fix another. So all our efforts to thwart our mind lies by compensating for them is a form of convincing ourselves they are not the truth. Convincing is a very poor substitute for truth. And you can see the effects of convincing in your own life and all over the world. From convincing ourselves to stay in jobs that we don't like or with people we don't like, to convincing ourselves that making money is worth burning out and sacrificing our health and being away from our children, to convincing ourselves that fossil fuels and nuclear power for energy is the way to go, or waging war against fellow humans is the right move. Convincing can be very convincing. The current state of the world reveals a lot of convincing, but not a lot, and certainly nowhere near enough truth. And this is what we're all moving towards. As you might be able to see now, your feelings of having failed, and hence the belief, and being unreliable were never yours to begin with, as with all mind lies. They belong to the person or the people that used you to validate their own belief systems. They had it first, it's like a virus, and they sneezed it all over you. And now because you are already predisposed to this belief, you caught their virus. Now, you can't ever be reliable when you are being set up to fail, as the goalposts are forever changing. This is what people do. We pass it down from one generation to the next. Therefore, being unreliable is not your true identity. You were set up. Those who set the trap for you, be it mother, father, brother, sister, uncle, school teacher, society, didn't really know what they were doing. They weren't really conscious to setting you a trap. It was a subconscious endeavor. They had their mind lies as the pilot. What they wanted was subconsciously to see if you were like them in any way, unreliable and untrustworthy. Talk about misery loves company, right? It always reminds me of the times when I was at school and I didn't do my homework, which was frequent, and how fast I was to find out who else didn't do their homework, so I didn't feel so bad. And that's what this belief does. Creates more just like you. So these people that passed this mind lie onto you actually felt that sooner or later you would see just how unreliable and untrustworthy they are. To avoid looking at this ugly truth, they had you take on that identity first. You were set up to feel worse than them, to be less than them, a worse failure than they are. But it's not your truth, not who you truly are. And it's that had immediately be all about you and nothing about them. Which, as you may have noticed by now, is exactly what mind lies do. They have us look for solutions in all the wrong places outside of ourselves. It's always about everyone else. Now let's go a little bit deeper, because there is an interesting truth to explore. It is this: if truth is what works, then a non-truth is what doesn't work, right? That's what we've been talking about. This means when we or anyone else operate from a space from mind lies, failure is imminent. We will let people down. We'll even let ourselves down. But when we align to truth, we become reliable and trustworthy. So the less mind lies we have, the more trustworthy we are. The more truth present, the more victorious we are. So in truth, the you that is concerned about being reliable and untrustworthy is. Simply because that you is based in non-truth. Stay out of this you and you will be inherently reliable and trustworthy. So the next belief that comes up, the next mind lie, is I can't be trusted to stay out of this mind lie identity, that ego space. And that's exactly what it wants you to think. Has it live on? It lives on based on you believing it is more in control than you are, the real you, that is. But the deeper truth is, it doesn't matter. And this is what you really want to get. It doesn't matter if you come from a mind lie, a non-truth, or from truth. Making it matter is what is making it nearly impossible to stay out of that space. The truth is, life is a series of peaks and troughs from one mind lie to truth. These constant oscillations. Truth, non-truth, truth, non-truth. But the oscillations become less frequent when you are no longer making the mind lie space wrong, making it bad. To make something wrong or bad, to resist it, is what started these mind lies in the first place. Remember we covered that? Right and wrong? To remain in a truthful space, more often than not, you would choose to love both spaces. Love that you have an opposite dwelling within, giving you a stark contrast to truth, to what works. It's how we find our way. It actually keeps us from getting lost. But the reason we have become lost is because we have identified more with the opposite, with the mind lie identity, than we have with the truth. And that is the definition of being lost. But don't make that wrong either. Life is an unfolding of truth, going from one truth to an even greater level of truth. Don't make where you're at wrong or somewhere else even better. To resist where you are at keeps you in ego, in non-truth. So a core truth to come out of this is to love all your mind lies as much as you love your truths. To not resist nor resent this part of you, because it becomes very self-defeating. It's not the way out. You will be trustworthy and reliable when you are in truth, but you will be untrustworthy and unreliable when you are in mind lies. And your truth is, You will love yourself either way. Now that's powerful. But there's more. Are you ready for the real kicker? Hope so. The whole concept of needing to be reliable and trustworthy is a mind lie. It's only in this false identity, the mind lie identity, that actually expects something from us. We have imprisoned ourselves in needing to be someone or something or achieve something. Your true self, your higher self, has no expectations or requirements from you. It's all a joke. So what is happening is we are needing to be reliable and trustworthy for that part of ourselves that is fictitious. We are trying to please someone that doesn't actually exist. We've been all bending our life to chase yet another ghost. For in truth, there never was a need to be reliable and trustworthy, and there still isn't. It was all an illusion right from the get-go, a mind lie created by another mind lie. You were perfect right from the start.